Have you ever wondered what led Russia to call on the UN to sanction Israel? It's a question that has been echoing around the world, stirring up a whirlwind of reactions and opinions. The event is a complex one, with deep roots in the political landscape. It's not just about Russia or Israel or the UN, it's about a global power play, about alliances and oppositions, about the struggle for justice and the fight against oppression. This recent development has sent shockwaves through the international community, and it's not hard to see why. The call from Russia for sanctions against Israel at the UN is a significant move, one that could potentially reshape the dynamics of global politics. But what led to this point? What are the reasons behind Russia's call, and what could this mean for the future? These are questions that demand answers, and they are the questions we will be exploring today. In this video, we will delve into the reasons behind this call and its potential implications for global politics. To understand the present, we must first take a look at the past. Our story begins with the intricate web of international relations that has evolved over time, particularly between Russia and Israel. These two nations have had a complex history, with their geopolitical interests often intersecting and diverging. One key event that stands out in this context is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This aggressive move drew widespread condemnation from the international community, including the United States, which has been a staunch ally of Israel. This action by Russia has undoubtedly added a layer of complexity to its relations with Israel and the wider world. Parallel to this, we have the long-standing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This issue has been a touchstone of discord not only between Israel and Palestine, but also within the global community. Many nations, including Russia, have expressed support for a two-state solution, seeking to address the human rights concerns and territorial disputes at the heart of this conflict. Interestingly, the reactions of the West to these two situations have been cited as examples of international double standards. The swift condemnation of Russian aggression in Ukraine contrasts sharply with the more measured response to Israeli actions in the Palestinian territories. This difference in approach has been a point of contention, causing ripples in the international diplomatic waters. Adding another layer to the mix is the recent gas deal between the European Union, Israel, and Egypt. This deal is seen as a strategic move to diversify away from Russian energy, enhancing Europe's energy security. The agreement, which marks a significant step in making Israel a key player in the region's energy landscape, could potentially influence the dynamics of Russia-Israel relations. These historical events, coupled with the shifting sands of global politics and economic interests, have set the stage for the current situation. They serve as the backdrop against which the recent call by Russia for the United Nations to sanction Israel is being seen and interpreted. These are the threads of history that have woven together to create the tapestry of the present. Now, let's move to the heart of the matter, Russia's call for sanctions against Israel. Russia, in a bold move, has called upon the United Nations to impose sanctions on Israel. This proposition is rooted in accusations of Israel's violations of international law and alleged human rights abuses. The international community is now faced with a challenging decision: to sanction or not to sanction. It's important to understand the reasons behind Russia's call. The country has pointed to what it perceives as Israeli violations of international law. In particular, the continued occupation and alleged military violence in the Palestinian territories. Russia believes these actions warrant the imposition of sanctions, similar to those imposed on Russia itself following the invasion of Ukraine. This call for sanctions has been met with a variety of reactions from the global community. Western nations, which have been vocal in their condemnation of Russia's actions in Ukraine, are now faced with a difficult balancing act. They are being asked to apply the same standards to Israel, a challenging proposition given the complex political ties and alliances that exist. On the other hand, Palestine and its supporters have welcomed Russia's call. Palestinians have long expressed frustration at what they perceive as Western double standards. They have noted the swift condemnation of Russian aggression, while alleged Israeli violations have, in their view, been largely ignored. This call for sanctions against Israel echoes the sentiments of many Palestinians who have been advocating for similar measures for years. Yet, it's not just about the political implications. This call for sanctions also has potential economic repercussions. With the European Union recently signing a natural gas export deal with Israel in an attempt to diversify away from Russian energy, the imposition of sanctions could disrupt these plans, adding another layer of complexity to an already intricate situation. The call for sanctions has stirred up a global controversy, with nations divided in their response. The world watches, waits, and wonders. What will be the outcome of Russia's call for sanctions against Israel? What does this mean for the future? The call for sanctions against Israel by Russia sends ripples across the global political landscape. If the United Nations decides to impose these sanctions, it could lead to a significant shift in alliances and power balances. It's not just about Israel or Russia. It's about the entire international community and how it responds to issues of international law and human rights. Consider the potential implications. If sanctions are imposed, Israel might find itself isolated, leading to a possible realignment of its diplomatic relations. Moreover, the European Union, which recently signed a gas deal with Israel, might have to reassess its energy security strategy. On the other hand, if the UN doesn't impose sanctions, it could be seen as a tacit endorsement of Israel's actions, potentially leading to a rise in similar violations by other nations. And what about Russia? Its call for sanctions might be interpreted as a strategic move to assert its influence on the global stage. But it could also face backlash from nations that view this as a deflection from its own actions in Ukraine. While the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear. This call for sanctions marks a significant moment in global politics. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Russia's call for UN sanctions against Israel. We hope you've gained some insight into the complexities of global politics and the potential implications of these sanctions. It's a fascinating, albeit uncertain time in international relations, and we'll continue to keep you updated as the situation evolves. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to stay informed about global developments, please consider subscribing to our channel. We have more in-depth content coming your way, including an upcoming piece on the role of energy security in international politics. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.